Hey everyone. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Ian and I run the account Ian Builds Wealth. And so I am a former practicing attorney and I work for a technology company. And in my spare time, I talk about personal finance, which I love. And today I'm going to talk to you about automation. So um, if you have any questions or comments, you can always DM me. You can find me primarily on Instagram at Ian Builds Wealth and let me know your thoughts. I'd love to talk to you about any of this. But right now we're going to talk about automation and why it works. So I am going to tell you a story. It might seem like it has nothing to do with money, but it's a story and it has a moral to it, a little bit of science. And then I'm going to end it with a few things you should do and real life application with a little method that I created with a fun name. Okay, so here we go. It was 2011 and I graduated law school and I felt a whole mix of emotions. I was, I just completed 3 years. It was a ton of hard work. I was excited, but I was a little confused about what would happen next. And I was a little scared. I should have been all, yay, I just completed law school. Amazing. I just accomplished this thing, 3 years of hard work. But I wasn't. I was more like this. I was like this sad puppy who just wanted to crawl up and chill and not do much of anything. And that's because I had this big thing ahead of me, the bar exam. Yeah. So if you don't know what the bar exam is, it's the exam that lawyers have to take to be eligible to get licensed as a lawyer. It's a 2-day exam, hours of questions, multiple choice, essay questions. It's basically a several thousand person live pressure cooker. I'm talking like people having nervous breakdowns in real time in front of me. It's messed up. And to prep for the bar exam, you have to study for 2 months in advance. That's right after you graduate school. So it's no surprise that I wasn't too excited. I had to study for the bar and all these what ifs started circulating around my head. What if I fail? What if I have to take it again? What if people find out that I fail or forget all the information I'm studying and just draw a blank on the test? This was tough to process. And at the time, I told myself to pump myself up that failure was not an option. And so I went into what I call robot mode. Here's my robo schedule that I had for those 2 months. I woke up, went to the gym, coffee, lots of coffee, bar prep class, which is a class you take to study for the bar exam. This is like literally a class. Lunch, study again, eat dinner, TV, and then bed. And usually before bed, I'd review my notes. And I thought a lot about why this worked. I knew deep down that the bar exam wasn't about how smart I was. It came down to one thing, which I was told by many who took the exam before me. It was retention of information. A lawyer that I had spoke to before I took the bar said that when studying for the bar exam, you'll have the most amount of information about law in your head that you will ever have in your entire life. And boy, was he right. There was a lot swirling around my brain. So this robot mode stuff wasn't so crazy after all. All right, let's transition to the science stuff, which is exciting, by the way, because we know our bodies require energy to function. That's why we eat food. We go work out, we drink a protein shake. We need to fuel up, right? In 2007, researchers from Florida State University discovered that our brains actually eat up sugar in our bodies to make decisions. The study said, and I quote, "A single act of self-control causes glucose to drop below optimal levels, thereby impairing subsequent attempts at self-control." Let me be your lawyer for a second and unpack that. I'll give it to you in layman's terms. Making a decision to do one thing that you know is good for you literally depletes your body's energy. So if we have a finite store of energy every day, the fewer decisions we make, the better we perform cognitively. So what was I doing by having a regimented schedule? I was removing decisions, leaving all that big old brain power to fill it up with information that I would eventually spit back out onto the pages of the bar exam. And how did it work? Well, I passed, became a lawyer on the first try, by the way. And so removing those decisions of my day-to-day wound up helping. And I didn't use this to optimize. I'm not saying this to say that this was a life hack to ace the bar exam. It wasn't about optimization or efficiency. It was purely about brain power, brain function, not necessarily performance. So take Steve Jobs, for example. He famously wore the same black turtleneck, blue jeans, and New Balance shoes that every dad wears. And I'm 4 years into being a dad, by the way. I still don't have my New Balance shoes. I'm going to hold off as long as possible. Now, he wasn't doing this because he wanted to run faster or jump higher in these high performance dad sneakers. He just recognized that he had a finite capacity of brain power to make well thought out decisions. And so he removed a decision every morning by having this uniform. Our decisions are also filled with biases, good and bad, and that can really affect what we do every day. And sometimes we don't always know what's best for us. So decisions need to get made for the greater good. Take cars, for example. Look at this car right on the screen. This is a Ford Model T. It's like the first car ever. These cars used to be death traps. People realized that when we took human decisions out of the equation, they get safer. Windshield wipers are no longer an option. They're standard. Seatbelts, no longer an option. They're required. You have to wear them by law. Anti-lock brakes are in every car. Don't look at this car on the screen. There's literally no rear view mirror. And these wheels don't even look like they have brakes. So listen, we all hit forks in the road. And for some things, we have to guess which direction to take. Like this fork in the road right here. But what can we remove daily to reduce our decision load? So now we're on to the topic at hand, money. If you take one thing away from this talk, I want it to be that you have the option to remove money decisions from your life. Let me give you an example in my own life of where this didn't happen and how bad the effect was. When I started to pay back my law school debt, I got freaked out. I was making $50,000 and suddenly had to pay back $170,000. So I arrived at a fork in the road. You're looking at it. Do I tackle the debt head on, go to the left, or not, and run away from it, go to the right? And I decided to go to the right here. I decided to take a forbearance on my loans and let interest accrue for several months while I didn't change my lifestyle. Guess what happened at the end of that forbearance period? I did it again. I did it twice. That was my cry for help here. Now, I could have decided to go left here and go on an income-based repayment plan and set up automatic payments and just got on with my life. But instead, I chose this path that cost me $20,000 in additional interest. That interest got recapitalized into my loan. So that $170,000 balance went to $190 because I didn't own up. And I didn't seek to face it head on. And after I did a lot of things that didn't work, I had to turn it around and fix the mess. And that's where I decided to throw decisions out the window. Not going to kid you. It took a while to get to this hammock mode, and I still don't even feel like I'm there. But if you're going to do this, if you're going to automate your finances, it's going to take some time. It took me a year to pay off my credit card, $20,000, and I still have thousands of dollars of student interest left. Student loan debt left. I still have about $40,000 left out of my original 190,000. But I literally do not think about my loans anymore. I don't think about my pre-tax contributions to my 401k. I don't think about taking the 80% of what's left over in my paycheck and getting it direct deposited into my checking account. I don't think about how I take the remaining 20% and put that into savings and investing. I don't think about my kids' 529 plans. I don't think about utility payments, my mortgage, insurance, credit card payments. Really, I don't have to take action on anything. It's all automated for me just by automatic transfers. And does anyone know what happens? Do you know what happens when we remove those decisions? Well, you can see that all the stuff I just described to you is no longer a factor in my life. The consequence of removing decisions is that we now have the space in our lives to prioritize. I have these little institutions set up that are now growing automatically without me doing anything. My wife and I both have well-funded brokerage accounts. We max our Roths every year. We have robust 401ks. And now, well, now that these buildings, these structures are standing, all those accounts I just mentioned, I get to add more. I don't have to think about those. They're functioning nicely. And that way I can invest in things like real estate or mortgages, building my social media business. I remove the other stuff to make room for more. So now that I told you all of this, what's next? What can you do? What are you going to do with it? Well, let me make a few suggestions. And for beginners, I have 5 things that you can do to start automating your financial life today. I call it the Cheddar Method. Who doesn't love cheese, right? Cheddar, cheese, cheddar money, right? Checks, emergency fund, debts, assets, and retirement. Let's start with number 1, checks. This is the easiest. And I imagine if you're listening to this, you might already have this done. You get your paycheck deposited into your checking account via direct deposit. Super simple. That's step 1. Now your money's in your banking account, your checking account automatically. It's available for you and you can do different things with it. Number 2 is your emergency fund. Open up a high yield savings account and direct some of that money that you get paid into that emergency fund. I'd aim to save for 4 months. To me, that's a healthy emergency fund, 4 months of your expenses. Now, to figure out what you can afford, you're going to have to look at your expenses. You then should figure out what your expenses are times 4. So you know what 4 months is. And then just divide that number that you get that you need for your emergency fund by the length in time by which you would like to have that saved up. So let's say you wanted, just round numbers here, to save up $12,000 and you wanted to do it in a year, you need to do $1,000 a month. Simple math. Number 3 are your debts. If you have debt, especially credit card debt, start automating your payments as soon as possible to get it paid off as soon as possible. This will not only help you get it paid off faster and with greater discipline, but the faster you get it paid off, the less interest you pay. And that's money back in your pocket. Interest is a tax on your life. Do what you can to get rid of it, please. Number 4 is assets. Start building your assets with automated monthly transfers. I transfer money to Fidelity every month. I transfer money to a platform where I invest in mortgages every month. I don't think about it. It gets automatically invested in both spots. Whether it's to a brokerage, a Roth, or something else, you can do all this automatically. And if you're investing in a brokerage or in another income producing asset, reinvest that money because that's how it's going to compound even faster upon itself. And the last thing is retirement. If you have an employer-based retirement plan, like a 401k, start automatically with 3% pre-tax contributions from your paycheck. Now, if you're doing all this already, you're crushing it. And you're probably ready for some advanced techniques, which again, feel free to reach out to me, comment below, shoot me a DM on the socials and we can talk about it. But I want to leave you with this. It takes on average 28 years of working, saving, and investing to become a millionaire. we know that time is one of our most valuable and finite resources. And so if there's a way for us to maximize our time on decisions that matter the most, I'm going to look for ways that save me brain power so I can focus specifically on those decisions that matter. That's all I have. Thank you so much for listening. And again, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out.